everybody, welcome to the SoCalDramtram. I'm Matt.
And I'm Cesar.
And hey, if you're new here, we appreciate you. Be sure you hit that subscribe button on your way out, and don't forget to click that little bell for notifications. That way you know whenever we drop a new review. And if you're a returning viewer, and to all viewers, hey, don't forget to hit that like button, and we appreciate you sticking around. Cesar, what do we got on the bar today?
Today we got something from my bar, folks. The few, the proud, the bourbon.
Hit it.
So folks, we got a bourbon from the Few Distillery. Few has a couple other lineups. I believe they have a rye as well. They're based out of Illinois, Everson, Illinois, somewhere in Illinois. Mash bill is a good mix of 70% corn, 20% northern rye, because apparently northern rye has a distinct flavor, and then 10% two-row malt. So for those of you out there being like, what's two-row malt? Two-row malt is actually... So as they grow the grains, there's like most grains are 6-row, right? But two-row malt is a little bit more popular because since the head of the grain only has 2 rows of the grain, they individually grow bigger. They have more space to grow, therefore creating a more consistent grain size. Where the 6-row malts are actually a lot smaller and therefore have a more inconsistent size because they fill up the space. So 2-row malts, a little bit bigger grain, more consistent size, it's a little bit more preferred. This is aged just under 4 years in American oak cask, just under 4 years. And it is also charred wood, so you're definitely going to get a little bit more developed flavors than a normal bourbon out of it. Another known fact is that all the grains that they use to put into this is actually grown within 100 miles of the distillery itself. Specifically the northern rye, because they make it a point to get that specific grain flavor into touch with their bourbon. But me personally, as Matt knows, a lot of people know, I'm not a big rye guy. But this guy, folks, as far as it being even only a little bit rye, I guess it's that northern rye, I'm pretty much down to there.
Ain't pretty much. It's on its last legs.
Yeah, it has very few left.
I hate you.
But folks, enough about the bottle. Or actually, before... So it's bottled...
Enough about the bottle, but let me tell you more about it.
No, let me just say the alcohol percentage, 46.5%. That's a decent amount for a bourbon just under 4 years old. That's you know, slightly less matured than most.
I mean, I feel like 46 is a pretty common number amongst bourbons. I mean, Buffalo Trace is like 45. Eagle Rare is 46, I think. Even, what's it called? 1792, I think, was 46. So it's pretty common ABVs, but that's still good. That's definitely meaning that you're dialing it in, hopefully, and not just watering it down for mass market at 40%.
Exactly.
So that's good. Question, though. Does Southern Rye give this whiskey an accent?
I like it.
Hashtag dad joke.
You drink it and be like, tell you what, boy, this tastes like...
Hey, did you hear the joke about pizza?
No.
Never mind, it's too cheesy.
Next.
All right, so before I get into this
like
guy...
the MTV show in the 2000... Next.
You know what? I'm actually really happy he just shut that one down. Like, stone-faced, like just straight up straight man. That's exactly what he needed to do. But nonetheless, as far as coins go today, I'm actually going to be using, since this guy's on its last legs, kind of reminded me of a certain someone for some boys in Indiana. Sean over at the Scotch for Dummies, that's right, using the new third fill coins, and his coin is the Zebra Hunter, and I believe it says Bottle Slayer, and that's what we're about to do to this bottle. We're about to slay this bottle. It ain't exactly Scotch, but it'll do the trick. Who are you using?
For my coaster coin, using my old Bourbon Junkies coin, and then for my topper coin, of course, that Old Soul Whiskey Soldier. You my boy. But folks, look at this bottle. This bottle looks pretty cool too.
It's got a pretty lady on the cover.
Yeah, it really got. Yeah,
she also scares me.
It has the Statue of Liberty going like this.
It's not the Statue of Liberty.
and she's not going like this either. But it really does look like that.
Honestly, it looks like a giant statue. Like they took out the I don't even know what it's called, but like the monument in the middle of St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. It looks like they took that out, added this chick, and laid in St. Peter's Square as the background. So well done for some creative marketing, I'm assuming. I don't know if that's a real place, nonetheless, but Statue of Liberty going up the horns. That's fine. All right, so 6 minutes in, let's get to this whiskey.
So the nose for me, I'm getting burnt brown sugar, and I'm getting those bar cherries. Those bar cherries.
Oh, like cocktail cherries?
Yeah.
Interesting. For me, I'm getting a lot of like the oak spice on it. I'm wondering what the char level was. Did it happen to say in your research what it was? No,
I did not know.
So most barrels can be charred anywhere between like a level 1 to a level 5. I think there might be more. I'm not sure. And then most things is going to be sitting around the 2 and the 3 marker. And as you go deeper, the char levels go up, and you're going to get more of those, barrel notes, obviously. And this one, I'm getting a lot of that oakiness, a little bit of that char. Not like a smoke, like scotchy smoke, but just like a burn smoke, like a campfire smoke almost. But it's not like so predominant where it throws you off. It's just kind of a hint in there. Like it's almost as if you vaped, blew in the glass, and then went back to it 10 minutes later.
Okay,
you get a little bit of that just smoky element.
I see that.
But it's bourbon, so I'm getting some vanilla in there too. But this one, I mean, as Cesar mentioned, it's on its last legs, and it's definitely oxidized. Air has hit this one.
So, you're trying it. All right. Mm-hmm. So I tried it. Right away, I grasped the maltiness. I see where that 10% comes into play. It's very, 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 it's malty for a bourbon. The finish to me is a subtle spice, almost like if you've ever had cinnamon gum, that's like 100%.
Big red gum.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
That's like 100% spice, right? This is a deep caramel sweetness, and then the finishes like a 12% of the cinnamon big red gum, like a 12% level, not 100, because that's like even hard to breathe sometimes. But this, like if you picture that level down to 12% and letting it go down with a malty finish, that's exactly what I get from this.
So the nose, we already kind of talked about it a little bit. The palate for me. The big red gum note is, now that you've said it, that's all I can get in my head. But I'm also getting, so when you have gum, right? And you're chewing on gum, and then somebody offers you something else, and you forgot that you have gum, and you take whatever they offered you anyway, and you're like, oh no, what have I done once you put whatever it is in your mouth? This is like getting a Werther's Original Caramel Chew and having big red gum in your mouth and combining the two flavors. Like, this is a cinnamony caramel. Like, 100% for me. Like, there's a little bit of cherry note in there because it is a bourbon. I do get a little bit of that malty pie crust analogy that I always usually use, but the cinnamon from that gum note that we're talking about, but also that Werther's Original caramel, maybe a little bit of butterscotch in here. I'm not sure if I'm getting that, but I'm leaning more towards the caramel for sure. It's not bad. I actually really like it. I think I hit this once with you. I think you brought it over once, and I wasn't like, I don't know if it's like a psychosomatic thing, but like you brought this and you brought your Blantons. And I had never had Blantons, and so I was like really excited to finally get to try it. And he also was like, yeah, try this few thing. And I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. Giving this a fair shake now, I don't mind this. I actually really enjoy it. But it's very cinnamony. Like, if you don't like cinnamon flavors, like, not that this is the same thing, but if you've ever had Fireball and went, no thank you, you may want to stay clear of this whiskey. Just my opinion. But again, I actually really enjoy it.
A quick note before I say what I'm going to say next. This I bought at $47, which is a little bit higher than the average bourbon, but it's definitely well worth it, at least in my eyes. And I am not one to like rye, but I think what they did with the rye region, like this northern rye, And I think the kicker, like the Chemical X and Powerpuff Girls, was actually the I'm pretty sure it's part of that Northern Rye style, which is where you get that rye. But like I said, since I don't like it, I really think the Chemical X for it was the mixture of the actual char. So I think the level of char that they had with the Northern Rye that they mixed into it happened to create this beautiful Buttercup, Blossom, Powerpuff Girl trio that ends up being perfect, like amazing. Like you didn't mean, or they did mean for that to go in there, but that Chemical X, that char with the rye, it's like, I don't like rye, but when you mix it with the char, wow, it came out with this beautiful, like deep flavors, and they last. They last, not like normal bourbon. They definitely last.
Yeah, I mean, the finish goes for a while. It just kind of, there's not really any one, for me anyway, there's not any one predominant flavor that I'm getting on the finish. It's just kind of like the palate as a whole, and it just kind of slowly, dissipates. But what I will say is I just added water to it. I put 3 drops on it, and that rye spice comes out quite a bit, almost very herbally. Like this is turned from like cinnamon big red to like evergreen spearmint gum. Again, on the nose for me. I'm kind of nervous to see what it does on the palate because, like you, I'm not the biggest rye guy. Although there are some blends out there that I'm really starting to like. Yeah, well, if it's wrong, I don't want to be rye.
Yeah, we just love our rye jokes, but no, we're really not rye guys.
Yeah, we're like we'll get there. I'm sure we will. One day it'll just click and we'll be like, hey, we like rye now.
Yeah.
But, it's not our go-to at this point, let's say. But with the water, I'm definitely getting more of that rye spice, but that evergreen spearmint, like, toothpaste gum.
Have you had it yet?
Not with the water.
Wow. Dang. To me, now that it has water, it reminds me of like a what's it called? A ride at a carnival. It's like, all right, this ride costs 4 tickets, 20 seconds. All right, next. It's like, all right, oh wow, this is magical for 20, and then it's gone like right away. And then it's like,
kind of killed it.
Yeah, it's so flavorful, and then it just drops like, oh, okay, well you need to pay another 4 tickets in order to ride this ride. It's like, oh no, it was just getting good. So I mean, they're both good to be honest. It's just that I think the water kind of finishes it, like it cuts short the finish a little bit.
So I would love to get a more full bottle of this. You and your 4-finger pours. I don't know if it's doing it justice with the water. The reason why I say that is because I agree. I actually agree 100%. With the water, it kind of kills everything that's going on. It becomes predominantly that rye spice evergreen for me. But that's it, and then it's gone. Like in a split second. Like you swallow, gone. Like it's almost like you use, spearmint toothpaste, and then you're done brushing your teeth, you rinse out your mouth, and then that flavor's gone like immediately. So for me with this one, I would love to see if that happens, if it's not as oxidized. Like if there's more liquid in this bottle and you add water to it, if that changes. Now I'm inclined to think it probably wouldn't, but again, who knows? There's so many variables when you're drinking whiskey. It's kind of nuts. But this one, for me, neat all day, every day. I would prefer this neat any day of the week. What are you thinking on this?
Definitely neat. And but then again, as far as few spirits and distillery, they really don't have too much. They only have like this. They got a rye, I believe. That's a blue label.
I've only ever seen like 3 or 4 different bottles.
The blue label is a rye one, and then they have gin as well. Okay. But
do you know how old they are by chance? Not the bottle, like the distillery.
Gotcha. No, I don't. But another thing I found out was like, I mean, although it's just under 4 years, all in Illinois.
And I was looking on the bottle, not to interrupt you, but I was looking on the bottle to see if it was maybe sourced, and it looks like it's all done from them.
Well, I was gonna say it's actually bottled in Philadelphia though. That's interesting. Yeah, I was like, what in the heck?
This is the part of the class where Cesar and I go, we forgot our lesson plan.
Well, since I was looking up, and since Few has very little bit out, very few bottles or types of alcohol, they actually have a sister distillery too, and that's who bottled it in Philadelphia. But everything, like I said, the grains, the maturity, like it's all done in Illinois and within that 100-mile range. So
yeah, for me with this one, I preferred it neat for sure. With the water, I would be worried to put an ice cube in this because I'm worried it would just become nothing. You know what I mean? Just based on 3 drops of water.
Yeah.
Like if you put an ice cube in there and it melts away, what does this become really?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And we're talking a lot about ice because it's like 90 plus degrees lately. You can lay in a vanilla ice gif here.
Yeah, I got sweat under my arms, guys.
For me, that was disgusting. For me, this glass, I preferred it neat. How much did you say this was? Like 40 bucks?
47?
Okay, we'll call it 50.
99.
50 bucks after tax, 46% ABV. I've had a lot of different bourbons at this point now. This is where I wish we did have. So I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt because, again, I kind of wish we got a chance to review it when it was a little bit higher. Thanks. But nonetheless, I think it's a good value, but it's not something that I'd be rushing back to replace, personally. I know that you say 2 is your benchmark for if you'd replace it.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably between the 2.5 and a 3, if I'm being honest. But like I said, not a bad bourbon. It's just not necessarily one that I'd reach for all the time. This is one of those where like it'd probably be in the cabinet of mine for 3 or 4 years until it's done. Unless it's just like, I need to kill bottles to make space, which is my current journey. What are you going with?
So with this few, you're so good. I wish I knew. All these words I'm speaking are true, and this is a good enough dram for all of you.
I saw where you was going
at home.
That.
But to be honest, like as far as bourbons go, and for that price point, I'm honestly gonna give it a 4 because to be honest, 2 things I'm pretty sure are the reason why it's a 4. The Northern Rye, which is why I'm curious to see what other bottles had this Northern Rye grain, so I could see how it compares, and the char. I really feel that it's that chemical X bond they had with each other that made it so good, like without the water, like so rich, and then it lasts such a long time, but really good too, even though it's like 20% rye. So
yeah,
because
if we
of
did
that,
halves, I'd give this like a 3.5 neat and 2.5 with water.
Yeah.
Like if we were doing that for sure. So, well, it's a 4 from Cesar. It's a 3 from me. Do us a favor, hit us up in the comments. Have you had Few? What other offerings have you had from them? Let us know because I'm sure he'd be willing to go pick one up. Maybe not for me, but that's okay. But nonetheless, be sure to have a conversation with us. We always like hearing from you guys. Also, don't forget, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at socaldramtram. Check us out. We love interacting with you guys there. And again, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Everybody hit that like button. You got anything else you want to add today, Cesar?
nah, what about you, Matt?
All aboard! Catch you next time. Hey everybody, hope you liked that video.
Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications.
And don't forget to subscribe.